You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey there, Stackers. Welcome to an episode of the Stacky Benjamin Show. I'm co-host Joe Saul-Sehy, and we got a great show today because Tina on our team said, you know what? We haven't talked about cars in a while. So I dug in, and you know what? In the last 12 months, we really haven't talked much about cars. But back on episode 22, Phil Reed, senior editor at Edmunds, and I remember hearing Phil Reed all over the place on the news back then. Phil Reed from Edmunds joined us to talk about how to buy a car, what to look for when you're buying a used car or a new car. And what I'd love to hear from you, whether it is in our Facebook group, The Basement, or if you're listening on Spotify, where we can have a nice chat in the comment section over there. I'd love to hear whether this advice is dated, because listening to it, the microphones sound dated on this episode. OG blares a little bit. Our roundtable episode, which is the second half, and some more great advice, by the way, in that half of the episode from Paula, Dominique Brown, and Carrie Smith. Carrie Smith and Dominique Brown have not been on our podcast in so long, and it was great to hear their voice again as they dish out some fantastic tips. But regardless, I'd love to hear, even though this is 10 years ago, episode 22, we're on episode 1651 right now, 1651. Does this advice still hold up today? And I think, like me, you might be surprised. So that's coming up. One piece of housekeeping before we get there. Our tax guide goes online on Wednesday, stackybenjamins.com/tax guide. We worked our butt off on this like we did our HR guide. So now we're up to 2 guides. Our HR guide came out back in October. We update the guide every month. You pay for it one time. We're going to have a party to talk all about it on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. That would be 3 p.m. Pacific Mountain Time. You're squeezed in there at 4. We're going to walk through it, have a kickoff party, and the guide will be live on Wednesday. Join us there or head to stackybenjamins.com/tax guide. Like all the guides that we're releasing, you buy it one time. We update it every month. Your tax situation may change. The government's always changing the tax game. We keep this up to date for you. The whole first half of the guide is tax planning. The second half of the guide is tax filing. All different situations are included. This thing is jam-packed. And what's cool, over the course of the next year already, we have a runway of ways we're going to take it from amazingly useful to just, as Mom says, like butter. A tax guide like butter. All right. stackybenjamins.com/tax guide for that. We have a couple sponsors that make sure that we can keep on keeping on and you don't pay a cent for all this goodness. And then we're in the way back machine to 2015. And does this advice still hold up? Either let me know in our Facebook group, or if you're on Spotify, leave us a comment and we'll chat about it. Buying a car with Phil Reed from Edmunds.com.
What did they get you for?
I bought a car. Turned out to be an alien robot. Who knew?
Live from my parents' basement, this is the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, Average Joe on our blog. And with my partner in crime, the other guy, we operate this super secret podcast about earning, saving, and spending with a plan. You'll find notes for the show at stackingbenjamins.com. And as always, you can send your emails with questions, comments, or keys to the brand new car to Joe at stackingbenjamins.com. And here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the OG.
What is going on?
You have been hanging out with Eminem.
Oh, yeah.
Mom,
well, I played in a golf tournament this week, and I really don't listen to a lot of rap. But it turns out I like to listen to rap while I play golf.
Yeah, get you fired up.
Yeah.
Well, Mom says she doesn't care that it's rap. She just always beats on the floor, turn that stuff down, and we.
Oh, I know.
It's just annoying.
Can't hear you, Ma. The music's too loud.
We got a great show today. We got a fantastic show. You know why? Phil.
You say so.
Because I say so. Ta-da! That's it. Thank you. We're done. Phil Reed, Senior Consumer Editor at Edmunds. You know Edmunds.
I visit that website quite frequently.
Yes. We have Phil Reed, the Senior Consumer Editor from Edmunds there. He's going to teach us how to buy a car. Should be pretty
dangerous.
Great. I got to tell you.
Dangerous.
You know,
I'm such an impulsive shopper, man. That's why I can't go do that stuff.
Well, then you got to hang out here and listen to Phil, because I got to tell you, the last time I bought a car, we watched an Edmunds video beforehand. And it wasn't just for me. It was that Cheryl and I had the same game plan. Because you ever gone into the place with your spouse and you're on one plane of thinking and they're on a different plane and the salesperson just wedges right between those. Yeah, not good.
No, as a matter of fact, the last two new cars that I bought without my wife's involvement.
Oh, did you bring them home as a surprise?
Kind of. The last one that she got with her car, it was when our second son was born. I pulled in the driveway and went, "Do you like it?"
What do you think?
She comes out, like 4 days after, post delivery, and she went, "Sure, whatever."
That's just an important.
Here's your new car, sweetheart.
An important financial decision that you guys had already decided to buy a car. I remember that story. It was just your job to go to get that thing done. We'll also do Guess the Voice. We have just a packed show today. We're going to talk about a movie called The World's End that was recently in theaters. You could probably still find it in some theaters, but for now, let's move. Hey, OG, we get tons and tons of emails, and Mom finally said, get this stuff off the counter. And I keep forgetting to actually talk about the emails that we have. And so I think we should go through these because there's actually some good questions in here that we can also answer. First question just came in a few days ago from Andy. Andy says, Joe, avid listener to both of your podcasts. This and our other podcast, for those of you new to the show, is called Two Guys and Your Money. And not only for the information, but also entertainment. Seems Andy's hard up for entertainment, OG. Even when the content of your podcast doesn't contain things I'm interested in, I'll end up listening to it twice. How about that?
Wow.
Now my question. I retired from the Navy in 2007. I'm working toward my second retirement government service. My wife is also employed by the government. I've researched a number of retirement calculators, and I find them all a little confusing. What if I just said, Andy, that's two of us? I don't understand any of this stuff, Andy. How did you help your clients to determine their retirement needs and goals? Personally, I'd like to replace 100% of my income when I retire, but what are good calculations for returns and inflation? Any help would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for the question, Andy, and thanks for the nice compliments.
Yeah,
but OG, I'm sure we've got some thoughts about that.
Well, this is like a real legitimate question. This isn't something that I thought they were all going to be like, so what is it cloudy where you are today? Yes. Moving on to the next question. You can use historical averages for inflation, right? So I always use like 3.5%. It's not really scientific. It's just the most recent 20 years, give or take, about 3.5%. I think historically it's closer to 4 if you go back a long time, but I think 3.5 is fine with that. For investment returns, it's all going to depend on what sort of allocation you use. I tend to be on the side of the fence that says that even if you're 60 and you retire, you still need to have 30-year money. So you got to have money that's available for you and growing when you're 90. And the only place that you can do that is in equities. So So I like to have a real small amount, a couple years worth of distributions in cash, another couple, 3-4 years in shorter term fixed income type things like short-term bonds or CDs or something, and the rest, 7-year plus money, that's all invested in a nice diversified portfolio of equities. So,
and what that does, that helps you keep your rate of return higher. You see a lot of people that talk about, well, I'm retired, so I got all my money in CDs earning 3%. Well, if you're 65 or 70, what's the chance you're going to spend the money that you need at 90 today? You're not going to do that. You know, it doesn't matter how much money you have. A lot of times people say, well, I have so much money, so I got to protect it. Well, you're still going to need money at 90, aren't you? So so what I like doing is taking not the amount that you're going to earn. I like taking the amount of money that you're going to spend each year. And if you're far away, if you're in your 20s or 30s and you're doing this calculation, just look at the amount of money that throw up a ballpark number because it's going to change, right? In today's dollars, I'd like to spend $50,000 a year. If you're close to retirement, take out a budget sheet and go line by line over what you think that your expenses are going to be, and then add in the things that you want to do. Like, some people want to travel more. Some people want to play golf more, like OG. Some people want to, buy classic cars, whatever. Add those things in. Then use OG's inflation of 3.5% over time, which all the calculators at Yahoo, at MSN, CNN Money, those will all let you put in the 3.5% and what rate of return you want, and see if you have enough money to make it based on what you want.
The other thing that I would say, it sounds like it's unique to Andy. He's got a pension from the Navy, and as a former service member, hoorah. And it sounds like he's working on another pension. So there's going to be a lot of guaranteed income coming in their world. Even if it's only $1,500 a month or something like that, from a couple of those, a lot of your living expenses might just come from fixed income.
And that's why you don't I don't start anyway with replacing my income.
Right. You got to buy stuff. You're replacing your expenses.
Yeah. A big difference between the income line and the expense line. So thanks for the note, Andy. I also followed up with Andy over email on that note, too, but thought that was worth sharing with everyone. Next question's from Mariah, and it says, I've not heard Dr. Dean on your podcast for a long time. I was wondering if that's because of conflict of interest on his part or if he's on to doing other things. I know he was running for Georgia Senate at one point, and that is a conflict of interest. Actually, it would be nice if you could give an update on him if possible. So thanks for the question, Ryan. Dr. Dean, I actually talked to you last week, OG.
How about that? Lots of doctoring going on and lots of politicalness going on, I think.
A lot of politicalness going on, and he actually has changed his job. He's now more of an administrator in the town that he lives in Georgia than a full-time doctor because of all of his jobs with the Georgia Congress. He never, when he left, he never mentioned a conflict of interest. I think there probably would be. I mean, who wants to have your competitor using against you on billboards that you were on Stacking Benjamins?
If you want to know who you voted for, listen to this show. Listen to these two idiots. Yeah, yes, he probably went, I got to distance myself as quickly as possible from these guys.
Tanya asked, and it's a rather long note, but Tanya asked if we have any tips for a new podcaster. She is considering...
Don't.
Avoid. Abort. Just that mission should end right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
A few tips on my end, so thanks, Tanya, for the question. Make a podcast that you like to listen to. This podcast came about because it's the type of podcast I would want. OG and I, as you guys know, we have ADD, which is why every segment is 15 minutes or less, because we want to go on to the next thing. We have a longest show because I enjoy listening to shows that are 60 minutes or more. And I know when we first started our show, we got some pushback on that. And I know, looking at the statistics, that there are people that listen to our show for half an hour. And that's fine, because I do that with other shows. I listen to the first 20 minutes, half an hour, and then I run out of time and catch the next one. That's great. That's also why we put things like the movies and the fun stuff we do at the end of the show and try to give you information at the start. Invest in a good microphone. We didn't do that. You and I didn't do that when we first started, and we both upgraded our microphones. That helped a ton. Also, I was going
to say, I think probably the time, you might underestimate the amount of time that you need to put it together at first.
Yeah, because the 70-minute show takes me probably, I'm going to say between 5 and 6 hours over the weekend to edit. And it is a ton of editing. And we still managed to...
And that's down from probably 12 or 15 hours.
Yes, right, when we first started.
At the early parts, yeah.
Yeah, and somehow we still managed to sound horrible.
Yeah, well, speak for yourself.
We edit the heck out of the show. So that's that. I also need to thank a few people here that gave us reviews in iTunes. If you could give us a review in iTunes, that is fantastic for the show. It shows iTunes that we are a show worth listening to. We are on the top 200 in the investing category of iTunes. So thanks to everybody who listens. But here are a few. So thank you to RWB20. Who gave us a review a couple weeks ago. A very good podcast based on finance and supported by comedy. That's all unintentional comedy, OG. They always have a very good roundtable discussion, although some of them are not there from the previous miles of the show, like Dr. Dean. You can also learn a lot from the top 5 when they have it. The movie review section is great because it's kept me from seeing movies I did not think I would like. It's kept me from seeing movies I did not think I would like, and after the reviews confirmed it and made me go and watch some obscure movies. I also like the random facts that Doug, Mom's neighbor Doug, sprinkles in each episode. Stacking Benjamins has come a long way from Worst of the Free Financial Advisor, which was our first iteration of the show. Worst of the Free Financial Advisor is a great show. I think I might have to disagree with them there. and they have improved upon it and kept the drive going to put on a great show. Thank you, RWB20, for that one. Also, Steve Stewart was kind enough to share with us some reviews that have been on the Canadian iTunes, because we don't get to see those being in the U.S., we don't get to see the Canadian one. So this one is from Uncook and says, had a great solo drive, listened to 3 episodes back to back to back, including the secret hidden segments. What is he talking about?
What is he talking about? Secret hidden segments?
I have no idea
Never
what
heard
he's
of
talking
that.
about. Really enjoyed it. Very informative. That's right. Really enjoyed it. Very informative. Listening on the 401 in Ontario, Canada. We've been on the 401 before.
I have.
Yeah.
I always get confused on the speed limit. So I just drive 200. Whatever that means.
200
until the Mounties come and get me.
Earth units. Well, they can't catch up with you on their horses.
Dang. Zing.
So you're good.
Hey! You'll never catch me, coppers.
Next is from Ghost Dumpy, and this one is Two Guys and Your Money was absolutely my favorite podcast. Entertaining cast, entertaining content, and we actually learned something. They learned something.
Out of what, 100 episodes, give or take, that we've had out of this whole thing?
That's right. He's learned 3.
They finally learned something.
Yeah, this is a new version of that same great podcast, and I look forward to new episodes. So please, thank you, by the way, Ghost Dumpy in Canada and Uncook in Canada also, and RWB20 in the U.S. for those very kind reviews. And please, if you can, give us a shout out. And
but only nice things. Just don't write crappy things. Yeah. Or if you do, it better be funny.
Yeah.
Like, boo.
Boo.
Like that guy was funny.
That guy's awesome. All right. All right, Mom's checked his credentials. This guy waiting at the top of the stairs talking to Mom, it really is Phil Reed. We got a guy from Edmunds on here. Is that when you know you've reached the big time? When Edmunds
almost
is sitting here. Yeah, you should see the car this guy's driving.
I bet.
All
Probably
right.
for free, too.
That's right. Let's bring him down to the basement. Phil Reed. All right, so when you're looking to buy your first car, it's a great idea to have good help in your corner, and we come to your rescue. We've got Senior Consumer Advice Editor at Edmunds.com, Mr. Phil Reed, with us in the basement. Welcome to the basement, Phil.
It's good to be with you.
Yeah, so, when I think about your job, I think that, and tell me this is the truth, Phil, that at Edmunds, what you guys do is sit around and play with cars all day and test drive exotic vehicles. Is that really what you do?
Yeah, absolutely it is. It's funny, when I first started working here, I got an email from my boss, and he said, hey, I know you guys are busy, but there are cars down in the garage. Get the keys and go out and drive them. And I thought, that's the exact opposite of any other job you would have. They would tell you to get back to your desk and start working. Our work was to drive cars and figure out what was good to buy and communicate that to our readers.
Where can I get an application?
Well, we have a jobs tab on our website, and we're hiring.
All right. Well, there you go, everybody. See, we hook you up with a great job. So you're buying your first car, Phil. Should you look new or used? Because I've heard, traditionally everyone says you should probably go with a used car because when a new car comes off the lot that it automatically depreciates. But I know lately with the price of used cars going up and up as that becomes a truism and new car dealers offering better deals, that may be more of a flat line. What do you think? New or used for your first vehicle?
Well, you've got a good point, which is that the whole question has changed in recent years, partially because of the factors that you mentioned, but also because the depreciation of certain cars is very low, and then combined with that, the low interest financing that they offer and some of the rebates. It blurs the whole question of new versus used. In fact, on our website, we have a section called new cheaper than used. There are instances where you can almost get a new car once you factor in rebates and financing cheaper than you could get a used car. But that doesn't mean that all used cars should be discounted. You have to go out a little farther. In other words, and this might be good for people that are buying their first car, you have to really age it more than about 3 years, a used car. Between 3 and 5 years is a good sweet spot for buying a used car and probably for a lot of first-time car buyers, and here's why. Mainly the depreciation is in the first and second year, and then it kind of flattens out the depreciation curve for a couple of years, and it doesn't drop off again until about the 6th year. And in there, you can still get a really, really good, reliable car, and in some cases, you might be able to buy a car that's even still under the warranty. So that's a good place to shop, and I've always been a used car shopper. We're here in the basement, and I can tell you I'm really cheap, too.
Yeah. Well, for my budget, when I'm looking at my overall budget, there's some rules of thumb that you guys have about how much car I should be looking at?
Yeah, well, if you're going to be financing, which means taking out a loan for the car, we say that you shouldn't spend more than 20% of your take-home pay on your car payment. So if you're in a household, it would be 20% of the household budget if you're sharing a car. And, probably one of the first things that people will do if they take the time to run the math on this would be they would find that this was very restrictive. It's only a rule of thumb. You can break it. Nobody's going to arrest you. Because if your priority is to drive around in more car, then, it's up to you. But a good rule of thumb is 20% of your take-home pay. And with that means that you might be getting an older car or a lesser car or many other things. But here's the reason why it's a good idea to be a little conservative about that, and that is because nobody tells you what's going to happen next in life. And we saw this very clearly that in 2008, when the bottom dropped out of the economy, suddenly people needed to hang on to their car. They couldn't afford that new car that they really wanted. They had to wait until 2013 until they could really splurge again.
That makes me think, too, that when you're thinking about your car and you don't know what happens, that looking at things like gas mileage and wear and tear and how long the car's going to last are probably also important factors.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would put, personally, gas mileage at the top because we know that the price of gas is not going to go down. I mean, it will go down temporarily, but it's on an upward trend. And it's nice not to be caught unprepared for that. So fuel efficiency is definitely good. As far as wear and tear goes, you have more control over that than you do over gas prices, obviously. Now, if we're talking about the first car, you may not really know what your relationship with cars is going to be. I've owned a whole bunch of cars, so I already know. I take pretty good care of cars, and I have a tendency to baby them. But if you're unsure of how you're going to treat your first car, why not get a used car? Because you'll pay a lot less in depreciation. There are a lot of good used cars out there. The only downside of used cars is it requires more expertise to shop for a used car, and that's because With the new car, you know the condition level. It's supposed to be as perfect as it can be. But with the used car, all used cars are different. So you're going to need to spend a fair amount of time making sure that this is in good shape and pricing it accordingly before you make an offer on it.
Yeah, how do you do that, Phil? Make sure that car is not a lemon that you're walking away with.
You know, this is a good time to shop for a used car, and that is because we have more tools than we used to. Because of the internet, we have vehicle history reports, which are not necessarily 100% reliable, but they're a great way to start your shopping. What I like to tell people is to get a subscription for one of these services as soon as you go into the used car shopping cycle. And before you even pick up the phone to call the owner, before you call the dealer, before you drive across town to see it, run the vehicle history report, because it will give you a very good snapshot of how many owners, whether it has had any mechanical problems, whether there may be a collision that's been involved, and you can then both price it better, also know whether or not you should go out of your way to go and inspect the car. So that's really step number one, and that's a huge advantage to you as a shopper. The other thing is that for used car shopping, you can cast a wider net because of the internet, get it? Internet. And, yeah. And so you can basically decide what kind of car you want and then just enlarge your search territory or just try different search sites until you find it. And this means that you can probably get 3 or 4 good candidates, see what the pricing is. You also have access to sites such as ours that have very good vehicle appraisers so that you can appraise the vehicle of the car and make a very accurate offer should you decide to go forward with trying to buy that car.
I know I used Edmunds extensively that way for my last car, and it was amazing to see the price differences in dealers and private owners on any single type of car, any single model. I mean, they were all over the map, so your site was incredible for that. On that note, let's talk about the dealer experience if somebody decides to work with a car dealer, because these people are in the business, as you know, Phil, of knowing exactly what they're doing, knowing how the game works. And if you're buying your first car, you probably have no idea. How do you score your best price with the dealer?
You started that by saying if this is your first car, so we're assuming, I guess, that this is the first time you've gone through that experience, and everybody has to go through it for the first time once, and it is daunting. I mean, I'm here at Edmunds. A lot of people contact me, and I know that the fear that precedes car shopping, particularly for the first time, can be pretty high, and of course, being prepared is really the best way to deal with that. And more specifically, kind of knowing at what point to begin the negotiation, things like that, how to negotiate, even if it's very simple, even just, sort of a basic sort of overview of what to expect can be very powerful and prepare people quite well. A lot of people will say, well, before you go car shopping, do your homework. I've always steered clear of that because nobody likes doing homework. What I tell people instead is if you take an hour of research, you can probably save yourself between $1,000 and $2,000 when it comes to negotiating and the whole big picture of all of the things that could occur to you at the dealership. The other thing, too, particularly because if you're a first-time car shopper, that may mean that you're fairly young. This presents a little bit of a problem for some young people because young people are taught to respect older people. The dealer is going to probably be older than you. However, it's about you and your money. So you should have the expectation to stand up for yourself and make the right deal. This doesn't mean that you should try to take every penny of profit from the dealer. One thing that you should sort of relax about is that the dealer does have a chance to make profit. They should. They got the car. They paid for it. They reconditioned it, hopefully. There may be a warranty included with it. So you're getting added value than just whatever they paid for the car. At the same time, you do have a chance to negotiate. Depending on your personality, you could do it even aggressively. By that, I don't mean yelling and screaming. What I mean is, setting a fairly aggressive opening price. It's funny. People always say aggressive. What they mean is really low opening price. Right. There's kind of an art to figuring out where to start a negotiation. And the simplest way to say that is you need to be in the ballpark but on the low end as possible. Because if you make too low of an offer, they're just going to not treat you as if you're a real buyer. They're just going to say, well, thanks for coming in and I'll see you later. If you make a low offer and they say, well, that's a whole lot less than we were trying to get for this car, but we'll take the offer to the manager, you know that you're in the ballpark and you're probably in business.
So take it to the manager is a good sign. I mean, that's kind of a keyword for you're in the ballpark.
Yeah, it is, because it means that they're going to deal with you. What will happen at that point is they'll come back probably with a counteroffer. In some cases, they may take it to the manager and come back and just say, we can't do it at this price. So you may either need to go to another dealership or make or improve even your opening offer. So that's one way to do it. Another would be to get them to state the first price. This gets kind of tricky because there's so many different styles of negotiating, and one of the things that car lots do, and they do quite well, is they may have the price on the windshield of the car, and then they may say reduce this week, and it'll be $500 less, and then even that's crossed out, and it could say internet special. So the net effect of this is it makes you feel as if they've already negotiated with themselves, and you can go no lower. Now, maybe you can't even go lower. Maybe that's a good price. But again, go back to the pricing guides and use your knowledge of the market to make that determination.
Is the process any different if you're leasing?
Yes, it is different. And first time, people probably are not going to be driven to leasing. However, that's changed a little bit lately because they're starting to offer lease specials on some, economy cars, such as the Fiat 500 and the Mazda 3. Those are very popular lease cars. They're also popular cars with younger people and first-time car shoppers. Leasing, first of all, leasing really confuses people because a lot of the terms are different, and very often the salesperson that you're negotiating with might sort of try and throw you off by saying, oh, well, that doesn't apply to leasing. That's just buying, or you're just mistaken or whatever. But really, probably one of the simplest strategies with leasing is to decide how you want to lease for. We recommend leasing for no longer than 3 years, so 2 or 3 years are good lease periods. You need to figure out how much you want to put down. We recommend no more than $1,000. And then from there, you need to figure out, can you get by with 12,000 miles a year? That's usually what most leases include. And then you can go shopping with those parameters and go to several dealers, call them on the internet department, through the internet department, and just say, hey, here's what I want for my car, $1,000, 12,000 miles a year, 3-year lease, whatever. Give me your best price. And you could get, probably 4 or 5 quotes. They'll probably all be fairly similar, but one may be substantially lower. You can also try to negotiate down from there, or basically bargain the dealers against each other. In other words, have them compete for your business.
Phil, we'll link to the guide for first-time home buyers at Edmunds.com on our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com/22 for episode 22. And I'm also going to link to the new cheaper than used article. Is there anything else that we should probably link to as well?
Well, we do have a suite of calculators, and these are really powerful because if you put in your zip code, you will see that it pulls in the registry information and also the local sales tax. It will also pull in the value, the true market value of the car. So the auto calculators are really good for budgeting. We have an affordability calculator, and we have several new products coming out. One of them is called Price Promise, and this is a way to get an upfront stated good discounted price on a new car.
Oh.
We may in the future also have a similar product for Lease Promise, because we found that the number one concern of car buyers is not getting a clear upfront price. So we're trying to solve that by having Price Promise.
Yeah, the whole negotiation thing drives me crazy.
And you're not alone. Yeah. I mean, I once, as an experiment, went in to a car dealership and I just said, give me a price on this car. And it was a joke. It was like, well, what are you willing to pay? And it's like, well, no, I'm not negotiating. I'm just asking for a price. And it went on in sort of a Abbott and Costello fashion for a long time.
Imagine if that happened at Walmart over baked beans, Give me a price on that. Yeah.
We would never get on with our lives.
No, it'd be horrible.
Never have the time.
Well, one big last tip that you would have, if there's one overarching tip, Phil, that you have for somebody going out to buy their first car, what would that be?
Well, can I have two? The first would be make sure that you know the true market value of this vehicle. We actually collect a lot of data on the actual sales, the purchase price of the car. So in other words, what other people have bought that car for. So you should know that, and that will be a guide for you as you negotiate. And then the other thing is do a little research in terms of the dealer. Check dealer ratings and reviews on our site, and also Google them and see whether this is a dealership that you want to do business with. Because if you find good people to deal with, the whole process is going to move forward much more smoothly.
Hey there, old friends. Remember me? It's Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. All right, here's this week's trivia question. What does the tech company name Cisco stand for? Holy cow, trivia fans. It's Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, with this week's trivia answer. People, what does the tech company name Cisco stand for? Well, it's short for San Francisco, where Cisco was founded. Hate to tell you this, but the most entertaining part of the show is now over. The guys will be back in just a second to help you fall back to sleep.
All right, we got the shortwave gang hanging out, supposedly. Let's go check out and see what they're doing. All right, everybody, let's walk over to my dad's shortwave and see if we can get the brightest minds in the nation on the line to talk for a few minutes. And I believe we have from Atlanta, Georgia, the woman, the myth, the legend, Paula Pant.
Hey, how's it going?
So you are in the closet.
I'm in the closet. I have an announcement. I'm in the closet.
You are in the. Is it a big closet?
It is. It's a walk-in closet.
Oh well, that makes it much better.
It's nice. It's IKEA shelving. If you have to be in a closet, this is the one to be in.
That is the one. Well, I'll be right over.
So I'm recording from the closet for the sake of the listeners. Just so you all know, I'm not making a joke. I'm literally taking this from a closet right now.
Paula goes out of her way, whether it's from the Hooters parking lot, the closet, Paris, she will be on the call. And up north of her, north and east of her in Washington, D.C., it is Mr. Dominique Brown.
How's it going, everybody? Am I the only person that gets sleepy after they drink wine?
Why?
Seriously, I'm exhausted.
Oh, you've been drinking wine all afternoon, just getting ready for the show?
Just a bottle.
Have you been drinking it straight from the bottle?
No, it was just, bottles don't last that long. And I just tore it up, and I was like, whoa, I'm sleepy.
Well, he doesn't know if it's straight from the bottle because he can't see around it with a paper bag in the way.
There you go.
Well, at least it's not from a box.
That's is Franzi a box?
Hey now. Box of wine is frugal.
And guess who's back? Guess who is back? All the way from lovely Texas, it is Carrie Smith.
Hey, glad to be back.
Where have you been, Carrie?
Well, I have not been in Texas. I've been in Colorado.
Are you in Colorado now?
No, we are back in Texas now. Thank goodness.
Are you in a closet?
No.
Well, welcome back from rainy Colorado, right?
Yeah, I know. Crazy. It got kind of scary up there, but we made it out okay.
My wife has a cousin in Boulder, and just hearing the reports, it just, you're horrified and you feel so bad for those people. It's just, wow.
Oh, yeah. We actually were in Boulder like the day after it happened, and it was crazy. I mean, my car got stuck, the whole deal.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that don't know Carrie has a website called Careful Sense. And actually, Carrie, we're going to lean on you this week because a writer on your site, Catherine Alford, otherwise known as Kat, has an awesome article that we thought we'd talk about called 6 Solutions for Maximizing Your Time While Self-Employed. And the reason I wanted to talk about it here was because, on the show we talk about earning and saving and spending with a plan, and we haven't talked about earning for a while. And this really, for me, even though these are great for self-employed people, that you got to be a self-starter, more and more in any business you have to be a self-starter. So I thought these were great tips for everybody. So tell us a little bit about the piece.
Sure. Kat is chronicling her leap to self-employment. So it's basically 6 months to be a full-time blogger. So she's sharing the different things that she's coming across as she's trying to build up her business, get more income, and maximize her time so she can eventually quit and become her own boss. I work with other self-employed people, and I share my tips and tricks that I've learned since I made that leap too. And we came up with some of the biggest distractions that we come across, both self-employed and just in general, especially with the internet today. It's really easy to get into that time suck, and you get into that sort of, what is it called? Alice in Wonderland, just the endless hole. Right. So we talk about from some of the big points.
So what's one you'd like to point us to start with?
Well, definitely social media. That is a big distraction when working online. Especially women love Pinterest.
Yeah, I had a partner that would spend all day on Facebook. And what he didn't know was that when he was on Facebook, if we got on Facebook later that night, there's a timestamp that says when you were on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
So everybody in our entire firm knew that this guy spent his whole afternoon on Facebook. Paula, Dom, you guys have any problems there or know of any horror stories of people in social media accounts?
Oh, definitely, especially government employees or corporate employees trying to go under the radar. They don't know that there's probably an IT department tracking your every move. And if you're one of those people that they want to get rid of, you can easily get fired based off the fact that you've been on social media websites.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I worked in a office where we all paid the same office manager. That woman was also in charge of our IT. And one day she told me, she said, well, what's funny with our provider, I can see every website that everybody goes to. And she said, you can't believe some of the websites that these people go to with their door closed.
I got a weird story here. When I was in, before I used to work in IT around my junior year, one of the executives printed out pornography, black and white porn, on the printer and then left it. Didn't go get it immediately. Left it there all day. And then eventually, it prints your name and then it prints what your documents are underneath. So if you just pick up the package, you're like, oh, this is and it was just black and white, just there on the printer. People do the stupidest things, I swear.
That's unbelievable. That's not where you thought we were taking this conversation, did you, Carrie?
Yeah, we started off in social media, ended up in pornography.
That's right. But I think the point is not only can it be a black hole, it can also be more and more employers are looking at your Facebook account before they decide to hire you to see what types of stuff you're putting up there.
Yeah, I was actually reading that the way it's going now is the people that you're friends with on Facebook can influence your ability to get good credit or to be approved for something that relates to your credit score.
Yeah, that's scary. What's another one, Carrie?
Definitely the email inbox. I mean, that is a big struggle of mine. I don't like messing with it, and then when I do start having to reply to messages and stuff, it seems just like it takes hours and hours. So I actually came up with a system that I use called batching. So I only look at my email and I only answer emails certain times of every day of every week. That has helped a lot.
Cuts down from the big time suck. Paula, what do you do with your email?
I actually do the same thing, and it's because transitioning from one activity to the next can be very distracting. If you just put aside a couple hours, like say, I don't know, every Monday from 4 to 6, and say, these are the 2 hours that I'm just going to go through everything in my inbox. That's super helpful. Just super, super helpful. The other thing, I'm a big believer in not leaving anything in your inbox. If there's something that I need to reference later, like an email that I've sent myself or an email that somebody has sent me that is an actionable activity, I'll stick it in a folder labeled due. Or, there are other folders like future blog posts is a folder, someday maybe is a folder. But I just don't let things fester in my inbox. Everything gets filed into wherever it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I got to get there because my current strategy of leaving it open in front of me all the time isn't working well.
It's stressful. It's stressful to look at it.
It is, and you're right, you get derailed because I'll be in the middle of a blog post and somebody will email me about something that, I need to answer in the next... I don't need to answer it now, but it'd really be great if I had an answer in the next 4 hours. I find myself forgetting about the, whatever the current thing is, and instead I go working on whatever the flame of the moment is.
So, Carrie, I want to ask you a question. How do you handle phone calls? I have a horrible problem with just answering my phone, and it's always something. It's like that email that comes in, and you know you should ignore it. But I pick up my phone anyway, then I'm just roped into just something that just takes me off my current task.
I have no problem letting it go to voicemail. I don't pick up the phone unless it's a scheduled call. And then I make a lot of people who want to jump on a phone call with me schedule through an online scheduler that I have. So they have to pick a time that I'm available and that they're available. And then that's when I set aside to talk to them. Otherwise, I just let it go to voicemail.
That's what I did when I was a financial planner, too, because otherwise I would get stuck on the phone. And if at all possible, I would try to email back or text back, because text and email versus calling. I mean, when I talk to somebody face to face, I get involved in all these pleasantries. How you doing? How are the kids? How are the family? If I can text or email, it's socially acceptable for me to be a little more blunt, where it seems like I'm rude if I do that on the phone.
One thing that Kat mentioned when she was writing the post is that she logs out of her email inbox. So she uses Gmail, but she logs out of everything. So she won't waste time with any of like Gmail or any of the apps that go along with Google. So that keeps her focused.
I'm about to try out a new email, and I don't even have the name of it in front of me. But AOL has developed it. Believe it or not, remember AOL? AOL developed it, and it was a great article in Fast Company about how they did it. And I've subscribed, but I haven't yet started. And actually, this weekend, I'm going to try it out. So maybe in the next podcast, I'll tell everybody how it went. But basically, what it does is a lot of what you're talking about with folders and with Inbox Zero, Paula, where it automatically takes your emails, and based on past emails that were about the same types of things, it puts them in prearranged stacks, they call them. So that when you get in there, it kind of makes assumptions. This is probably, some retail thing. This is probably a friend. This is probably and it stacks your email. So we'll see if that works. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Google just, with Gmail, they just came out with various types of inboxes. So you've got your primary inbox, social media, promotions. I mean, that was just unveiled recently within the past month. And it's super helpful because rather than having to sort through blog posts that I subscribe to and notices that so-and-so mentioned me on Twitter, I mean, those get filed away. And when I'm ready to look at them, I can look at them.
Hey, let's skip to the second part of your article. There's more there, and we will link to it, Carrie, it's at carefulsense.com, but also on the show notes at stackingbenjamins.com/22. And the second half of Kat's article is about maximizing your time, which I am all about right now.
The first one she talks about is waking up earlier, which...
That is not an option.
Yes. I mean, it is sort of hard to get up earlier every day and try and fit something in. But it's like when you're trying to be healthy or eat right, you need to make it a priority at the beginning of your day. Otherwise, it tends to get lost in the shuffle, or you get tired, or something comes up, or an emergency, or whatever. So I totally agree with that. And that's something I implement too, is waking up an extra hour to half an hour early to prioritize my day.
A big side of that I like that she talks about is recognizing what tasks you normally do better at which time. And I know we had Laura Vanderkam on the Two Guys in Your Money show back in March. And Laura said the same thing, which is if you recognize what type of tasks you do best in the day and you can organize your day around those tasks, you're going to do a better job. So I'm a better writer first thing in the morning. So I try to do all my writing first thing in the morning.
I do it kind of the reverse. I like to organize my day before I go to bed. So when I get up in the morning, I'm the most productive, and I just get right into a task.
Oh, I like that too.
I find that in the morning, if I organize my day, I take a little bit longer than I should, when I should be really just working and getting stuff done.
I do the same thing. Every night before bed, I write out a list of what I want to accomplish the next day. And that actually, for me, it's a de-stressor as well, because otherwise I'll be laying awake in bed, like stressed out and thinking about what I need to do. If I get it down on paper, I can go to sleep peacefully. For the past couple of weeks, I've been waking up at 5:30 in the morning, working out, and then starting my workday roughly around 7:30 to 8 o'clock. And I've seen a huge productivity boost from that.
Yeah, I've been working out first thing in the morning, too. And I'll tell you that, my brain, the power just when I get done working out is so much higher, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. Although the one thing I will give the caveat that right around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, I'm ready for a nap.
I totally am. I'm with you there.
Yeah, well, speaking of naps, I have been doing this experiment to see how productive I can be days I don't take naps and the days I do take naps. And it is crazy how productive you can be by just taking like a half an hour, cat nap. I know there's a bunch of studies out there, and I know that's something that NASA looked at too and everything. But I have tripled my productivity in the afternoons just from taking a break and sleeping.
So the Spanish have it right with the siesta.
Yes.
Yeah. What's another point that Kat has on her ways to maximize your time?
She talks about saying no to everyone. And this is something that I've struggled with too, because for some reason, when you work at home, everybody's like, oh, you're at home today? Here, let me just bring over my kids, or let me drop off this stuff. And they don't understand that, you need to block off this time for your professional and personal stuff. Talking to your family and friends, letting people know this is work time, and just being upfront with them is really great for time management.
I actually just wrote a blog post that came out today about creating a don't do list, figuring out the stuff that you're not going to do, and how that's just as important. It goes to what you were saying about saying no. It's so critical to say no to things and to decide not to do things. It's arguably more important than the stuff that you actually do.
I had a mentor once whose best advice he ever gave me that I still remember to this day was don't get in the weeds. So whenever anybody gives me a task that's very complicated and the place it's going to take me is going to give me, a marginal rate of success over where I am right now, I try to delegate that to somebody else. I can't do it. Dom?
I am a fan of supreme delegation. Honestly, you should spend your time on the money tasks as much as you can, 90%, 95% of that time. And everything else, outsource that, period. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll link to a book. There's a great book on this subject that I really enjoyed that made a big difference for me. I'm sure you've all heard of the 1 Minute Manager series, but the 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey is all about this, which is you're sitting wherever you work and somebody comes in and the first thing they say is, we have a problem. Well, they back up for a second, and the author says, it's funny how language works because before that moment, you didn't have a problem. The other person had a problem. But the second that they said, we have a problem, now one arm of the monkey is now around your back. And what happens to most people? They want to be nice to the person that walked into their office. They say, okay, I'll take care of the problem. And now the monkey's off their back. They walk out of your office, and guess who's got the monkey? You do. Mm-hmm. But a fantastic analogy, and I always think about that whenever anybody says, oh, we've got to do something. No, you've got to do something, and I might help you.
You know what's funny? Because I have this person who's just like, hey, how do you think we should move forward with this? I'm all like, isn't that your job? Seriously. Like, why? I understand. I'm very frank. I'm very forward. I like to be either confident or arrogant, whatever you want to call me.
You?
And people tend to just throw me things. And I'm all like, dude, I don't, that's your job. So that whole we got a problem thing, I totally relate. I really do.
It's unbelievable. And like all the 1 Minute Manager books, it's right on. Carrie, how about you?
I have a big thing about this is your deal. Your lack of planning does not institute an emergency on my part. That saying? And I totally go the opposite direction. I'm like, well, that's cool. I'm glad that you have this emergency. Don't drag me into it.
Well, thank Kat for the awesome topic this week. This was really cool. And
I want to give her a shout out. If you want to read more about her or whatever, you can always go to my site and read her story, or of course head over to her site, budgetblonde.com.
Yeah, she is a very good site. So let's talk about what's going on all your sites in the next week. Why don't we start with, Carrie, you're the guest. Why don't you go first? What's coming up at Careful Sense?
Well, I have some really exciting stuff in the works. I've been working on a 4-week challenge to working smarter, not harder. And so that will be launched October 1st, and it will have a bunch of expert interviews and some videos and really good resources and stuff in there. And it'll be 1 post per week. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, that's cool. We'll have a link to our from our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Paula, what's happening at Afford Anything? Not at Your Finances Simplified, but at Afford Anything.
You finally got it right.
Well, I was just trying to be a matchmaker, make you a little extra money by working Dom's site, but I guess it didn't work.
Jeff Rose, our good friend Jeff Rose, has come out with a book called Culture of Finance. So I will be reviewing that book and talking about that book next week. And Jason Hull from Hull Financial Planning will be guest posting on my site next week.
That is awesome because, as you know, Jeff was on our show a couple weeks ago, and Jason Hull is going to be on our new show called The Short Stack next Friday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so great minds, huh?
Exactly.
I know, both cool. Well, that's awesome. Dom, what's happening at Your Finances Simplified?
I have three secrets of wealth I learned from Oprah Winfrey. And what is a loan? Just basic stuff covering just in case. I realize that, a lot of personal finance bloggers don't cover the basics. So I'm trying to bring it back there. And then 3 secrets of wealth I learned from Bill Cosby.
So you're going through all the celebrities. You had Michael Jordan, too?
Yes, I had Michael Jordan. I had, who did I have? I've had Diddy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be talking about Reginald Lewis, who's the first African-American to have owned a billionaire company.
Sure, right.
So I'm just kind of going through the motions.
That is it. All right. Thanks for a great week, everyone. Hey, I got a great idea, OG.
What's that?
Oh, another great show. Another great show.
Well, we don't need to use adjectives. Let's just...
Another show.
Another show.
Let's lower...
Superlatives, I believe is what they're called.
Lower expectations. Another show. So, you have been invested, not in movies lately, but in a TV show called Breaking Bad.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I think there's 2 episodes left. When this thing airs, there will be 1 episode left. If you haven't taken the time to go through that yet, you are missing out.
I have not. I think I told you I watched the first episode of that. It was way too depressing for me, and I stopped. But you've told me previously that I got to watch like 3 episodes and you'll be hooked.
My wife started watching the show this final season. And I said, well, that's dumb. You're going to watch the last 6 episodes or whatever. You're going to know how it ends. She says, whatever. I'll just watch it with you. And after the first episode, she went, "Yeah, I'm going to need to actually go back and figure out what the heck's going on here." But now I think there's six seasons into it, 50 shows or something. So
yeah, she's going to have a lot of catching up to do. On my end, I saw a movie by a director named Edgar Wright and starring a man named Simon Pegg, and this is called The World's End.
Ever had one of those nights that starts out like any other, but ends up being the best night of your life? I did. Our goal that night was simple. 12 pubs, 12 pints. From the first post to the world's end. But that night, we never made it.
I saw the boys the other day. We're going to go back to Newton Haven. Why? 5 guys, 12 pubs, 50 pints. 60 pints.
Steady on, you alky. This is our chance to finally finish what we started.
We are going to do the Golden Mile, and this time
We are going to see it through to the bitter end. Or lager end.
Good evening, Raymondo. The prodigal son's return.
Huh?
What do you recommend?
Beer.
One tap, what's please?
What? What the hell is this? Why are we even here? We are here to get annihilated.
You come back and everything's sort of weird.
I suggest you get on your way.
It's not us that's changed. It's the town.
Man, in this movie, OG, you've got this guy named Gary King. Gary King called himself the King in college, and he wants to go get the band back together, get all his friends back together that all hung out together and got rowdy, and they want to go back to he wants to take them back to their hometown. And the thing is, everybody at the start of the show has moved on with their life except for Gary King. For Gary King, that moment when they were all buddies back in the day, those were the best days of his life. In fact, the show opens with him sitting in a circle, and I think it's at like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting or something.
Oh boy!
And he's telling this. He tells this story, and at first it just sounds like he's the narrator. You don't know he's sitting in a circle. And by the way, this is the great thing about a director like Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright did Scott Pilgrim. He did Shaun of the Dead. He does these movies that have all these great cut-ins, and he's got this real vision of how he wants to make the movie. So Simon Pegg, Gary King, starts off as the narrator, talking about this wonderful thing that happened, but how they didn't make it. And then it goes away from the narration and all the scenes of their youth and going to all these different bars. There's 12 bars they tried to go to on this bar crawl. The last bar being called The World's End. Anyway, it pans out, and he's sitting in a circle of people, and everybody's looking all weirded out while he's got a big smile on his face. And the person in charge says, well, that wasn't the best day of your life, was it? You know, and he kind of goes, well, yeah, I really think it was. And that's the beginning of the movie. And I don't know if he's an AA, but he's at some support group. So he gets the band back together, and that's the first half of the movie. Halfway through the movie, OG, it is not a spoiler because this was in all the previews. You find out that this town that they move from, everybody is an alien. And all their old friends have been replaced by aliens. And so it goes from this buddy movie to this almost, you know, we got to kill zombies, we got to kill aliens. It becomes this really dorky, different thing. And what was cool was Cheryl hadn't seen any of the previews, hadn't heard anything about it. And when I took her, when the first thing happens with an alien, she turns to me like, whoa, hold on.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I can't say much about it without giving a lot of it away. Martin Freeman is in this movie, who was in The Hobbit and is in Sherlock, and he's one of the hot British actors. You've got 5 great actors. You've got some great cameos in the movie. You have a wonderful director. This is a movie that, based on the fact that they're killing aliens and they're on a bar crawl, is not my kind of movie. But
yeah, nor mine so far.
But is always the case. It's how they do it. It's how they got the job done. Like when I went to see the first Hunger Games movie, right? I was telling people, hey, the Hunger Games, you got to read this book. Well, what's it about? Oh, it's about these kids. They throw them in a ring and they got to kill each other. It's like, nah, I'll pass.
No, thanks.
Yeah. This is that kind of deal where I thought it was a really fun movie. It was a very fun movie. Big, solid thumbs up. If you can go see The World's End, I think you're going to really enjoy it. That is our show, homie.
Another one down, huh?
Yeah. Is your golf season about over? It's getting cold there in the Midwest.
God almighty. I don't even want to talk about it. We're going to Disney in a couple weeks, though.
Disney. We got to talk about your Disney tips. And we get closer to
why don't we do that next week?
Yeah, let's do that. All right. Well, now you got to preview next week's episode. Oh, big.
Uh-oh.
Big.
Stop, freeze. Everybody stop. What's happening?
Stop. Big last thing. We got a new show coming out on Friday.
Crying out loud. Are we doing more?
We are doing another one. So,
are you sure that there's market demand for this?
2 guys.
I'm asking around, and people are going, "What? You're on a podcast?
What's a podcast?
What's a podcast? Never heard of it."
So here's the deal. We have this show will stay on Monday. On Wednesday, it will be 2 Guys and Your Money. It's going to move from Thursday to Wednesday, so that on Friday we're going to bring you a supplemental show of, and you don't need to sign up for it. It will be on this stream. And it will be, this is episode, episode 22. So that'll be episode 22-W. And I got to tell you 2 things. So this show is our wild and crazy variety show. The Wednesday show, for those of you that subscribe to 2 Guys and Your Money, you know that's you and I just talking about one simple financial topic for 10 to 12 minutes. This show is one more interview that we just couldn't squeeze in, which is with somebody great in the financial arena talking about one good idea that they have. So Wednesday's a great idea that we have, and then Friday's a good idea we found that somebody else has.
Okay.
So that will be on Friday. I'll tell you, with the Friday show, we're going to be playing a game. And here's the thing, OG. People listening to that show are going to have to guess even what the game. We're not even going to tell you what the game is. So the game will last several weeks. If you figure out what the game is, and you can email me at joe@stackingbenjamins, you will win a $20 Amazon gift card. And we'll see if anybody. You don't think anybody's going to get the game?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Well, let's see how well people listen. We've got great interviews, which is a great reason to listen. But you know us, we can't do anything without being just goofy beyond belief. So we've got this, and that is coming out Friday. All right. Have a fantastic week. If you're listening to this on Monday.
Fabulously awesome week.
If you're not listening to this on Monday, have a great whatever day it is.
+7.
This show is the property of the Free Financial Advisor, LLC, copyright 2013. PK can be found at his other gig on dqydj.net or curled up on the floor in a fetal position next to the freezer. Paula Pant appears courtesy of affordanything.com. Dominique Brown, or Hello Ladies, appears courtesy of yourfinancessimplified.com. It appears I've fallen and I can't get up. Apple appears to be cranking out new iPhones about every 15 days. Odds are you're listening to this while waiting in line for the next one. The people responsible for this show have been sacked.
All right. I told the story on the blog, but you haven't. I don't think you've seen it. Did you see what happened to us last weekend, driving home from Arkansas?
You got accosted by a whole bunch of Arkansanians.
Just about. They actually helped me. So between here and Fayetteville, where my daughter goes to college at the University of Arkansas, we had Parents' Weekend this last weekend. It was fantastic. But we're on our way home, and I had to edit the podcast because generally I edit it on Saturday and Sunday. I take it and make it more bite-sized bits. So I hadn't done any of that. So it's 6 o'clock Sunday evening, and I haven't started yet. So,
oh, boy.
Yeah, so Cheryl's doing something she never does, which is driving home. In my family...
It's like when my kids say, why does Daddy always drive? And I say, because we want to live.
Well, Cheryl's nickname, which she always grins kind of sheepishly, she's accepted it in my family, and with her family, frankly, is Crash.
Oh, boy.
Because she can cause an accident as well as the next guy, but that's not why she's called Crash, OG. She's called Crash because bad stuff happens to her. She will be sitting at a red light and somebody will just rear end her. She'll be in a parking lot and somebody will park next to her and open their door hard into our sidewall, you know.
Nice.
She just has stuff happens to her all the time. She had a deer come out of the woods and she swerved to miss it, and the deer still managed to hit the side of our car and just yeah.
Never supposed to swerve to miss a deer.
Yeah, probably should have gone straight. But anyway.
You just go straight.
Yeah, well, yeah. So anyway, we are driving home, and the way between here and Fayetteville is Ozark Mountains. It's just all very, very pretty ride going there. But it is up, down, and around. And so I've got my head down. I'm working on the podcast. All of a sudden, Cheryl lays on the brake, swerves to the left. You hear this little... And then, and you don't really feel anything. You just hear this little bump, and then she's going again. And immediately she turns to me, very defensively, and goes, "It wasn't my fault." And I said, "What do you mean it wasn't your fault?" She goes, "I had to swerve to miss the bird." So I think of a bird, right, like a chickadee, you know.
Right.
I'm like, okay, well, bird. She goes, "Oh no, it was a big bird. It was a big bird." Okay. So we're driving along further. We get about a mile further down the road, and I think, okay, we hit this little chickadee, and it rolled off. When from the front of my hood up over the grill comes this gigantic wing, right? Stretches up. Oh, no. And then it stretches back down. And Cheryl and I look at each other, and we swore, holy. And then I'm hoping, I hope this thing just rolls off the side.
Yeah,
you know?
Who wants to deal with this?
Please roll off the side. And then sure enough, about half a mile further, the wing comes up again and goes back down. And so on the right-hand side of the road is this big, those gas stations and fast food places all rolled into one. It's like a fried chicken and whatever deal.
You're delivering to the
front door.
I got one.
Front door. So we pull in, and immediately Cheryl gets out, and I'm still trying to power down my computer. And she gets out of the car.
Honestly, no. You were like, I don't want to see this thing. I don't want to deal with it.
No.
My wife, you made the mess. You cleaned it up, sweetheart. I'm going to sit right here.
I will be right up front. I was taking my time.
I know you were.
I was taking my time. And so
I got to turn my computer off first. I'd hate for that thing to get too hot.
And then I think I got to retie these shoes. And then I might have to read the owner's manual to see how this might work.
Exactly. What do you do?
Yeah.
There's a bird lodged in your grill of your car.
So she gets out of the car. She goes around to the front and to go into the restroom, looks to the front, puts her hand over her mouth and goes, "Oh my God, Joe." And then she walks into the bathroom, right? With this it's your problem kind of look.
Yeah.
And so I get out and before I even look, I'm immediately looking around. My management experience, right? When I have people working
who's looking at this?
Who can
have backed in pulled into the restaurant or backed into the restaurant?
Who can help me with this thing? And I've got these two old guys sitting off to the side on these benches because we're in this little tiny. I mean, I could hear banjos playing. We're in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas, and it is kind of scary. It's usually this is I don't stop generally in these little spots. So anyway, this I go around to the front and here, half in my grill and half out, and the hole was not very big. Is an adult hawk, and there is only two parts of its body that are not lodged between the grill and the radiator, and that is one wing and its head, and it's alive, and it's not happy to be there.
I bet not.
And I'm not happy it's there. And it is staring at me, and I'm staring at it. We both are thinking the same thing. Let's find a way to get it out. But I'm not putting my hand anywhere near that beak, right? So then I can't find anybody to delegate to because these two old guys, and they are deep in conversation, and I'm not going to just go ask them. So I just kind of look around like, hey, okay, nobody. And but there's lots of cars around, but everybody's inside. So my second thing, and I'm sure this is what the pros do, I go around, I open up the hood. I open up the hood from the side, thinking that I will get behind it. There's got to be from the top like a cavity, and I can get, and I'm sure this is exactly what the pros do. They call it the stick method, where you stick a stick in there and you kind of just take it out, right, without having to touch it. And so, and then you got all these people rolling their eyes now at City Boy Joe. So, unfortunately, I'll tell everybody, there is no such thing. There is no opening from the top. There's no way to get in there, right, to get the thing out from the back. So now I'm stuck. So out the door of the gas station / restaurant / convenience store comes this dude, this young guy, and Cheryl's not that far behind him, but it wasn't like she talked to him. The guy comes up and he goes, "Oh, car trouble?" Sees my hood open, and I said, "You got to see this." Now, this is where reality, like my previous version of reality, and what happened. What's the opposite of merge? they
diverge.
They diverge, because I'd never seen anything like this before, dude. The guy comes around the front, and I think he's going to go, holy, like I did. Oh, my God, this is horrible. He comes around the front, takes one look at the board and goes, huh. Like it's the 34th time he's seen a hawk in a guy's grill. So then, without even stopping, without asking me if I need help, whatever, he takes his hand down there. He wraps it around the one wing that's out. He puts the other hand in the hole. He wedges it in the hole and puts down the other wing. The bird is trying to turn and bite off his arm, but the bird can't get his beak around that far. And he takes the bird out, and he's holding it. And he holds it like right up to his face. And he goes, yeah, he ain't happy. I'm like, really?
Yeah, she got hit by a car at 50 miles an hour.
Yeah. So this old guy comes out of the restaurant, a different old guy, not the two. The two are still sitting there, but this third guy comes out, walks over and sees the guy holding the bird. And he says very casually, he goes, oh, you had a hawk in your grill, huh? Like, again, like, what do these people do? Is this like the international
commonplace?
Yeah. But then I also realized we are in the middle of Tyson chicken country, and this guy picked it up like he's been picking up birds all the time. He must have worked at one of these, because when I lived in the country, I did that for a day before I quit, actually half a shift. But the people that were there all the time, they just picked up these chicken with no problem, and didn't worry about the pecking or the scratches or whatever. So the guy throws the hawk. It goes maybe 15 feet and it lands, and it just looks dazed. And the old guy in the back goes, oh, he's hurting. And the young guy goes, no, he'll be all right. Walks over again, reaches down to pick it up. The hawk tries to turn to peck at his hand again, but not sincerely. And he goes, no, he's just really dazed. He's just really out of it. And then he throws him again, and he goes 15 feet again and lands. If you want to see pictures of this, it's at stackingbenjamins.com. But the icing,
Nobody does.
But the icing on the cake, and this is where was pretty funny. By this time, I just need to go in and use the restroom and just, get away. So I walk in, and the kid who's working in the little fried chicken place in there's maybe 6 people standing around, and he's saying, and then he reaches in the grill and he pulls out a hawk. And that's when I knew that the legend of Crash Cheryl was beginning to spread.